I was originally supposed to get married last year, but the wedding was delayed as I got very sick 2 weeks before the wedding. If everything goes to plan, we'll be getting married this year. After being sick, I lost a lot of weight. I've been trying to gain some of it back, but my original dress is currently too big for me. I know I could get it tailored, but when I tried the original dress on, it didn't feel like the dress I wanted to get married in. The truth is, I was never 100% on this dress, but I felt obliged to pick it since my stepmother loved it and insisted it looked perfect on me. She and my dad were paying for it, and there had already been a lot of tension around that time over how much more involvement my mom and stepdad had compared to my stepmother and dad, so I was trying to keep the peace by agreeing to the dress. I admitted my feelings about the dress to my fiancé, who insisted on buying me a new dress. I only mentioned looking for a new dress to 3 people: my mom, mother-in-law, and sister-in-law. I didn't want to tell my stepmother at first, as I knew she would be upset, and there was a chance I wouldn't even find a dress I liked better than the one I had. I did end up finding my perfect dress. I came clean to my dad and stepmother, and they were very angry with me. They got even angrier when my fiancé paid them back for the original dress, and when I admitted, after they repeatedly asked me, that I had told my mom first. They think my mom put me up to this, and it has caused a lot of issue between them. My stepmother is refusing to come to the wedding unless I wear the original dress. My half-brothers are split. My half-brother closest in age to me says he'll be there no matter what his parents say, but my older 2 half-brothers are siding with my stepmother. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. This is silly. You lost weight. You aren't asking them to pay for the second dress. They are being dramatic, not you. Do not engage with this level of crazy. You can't reason with it. This is about control and insecurity, and not about the dress. Not the a-hole. The original dress no longer fit or made you feel beautiful. Alterations to the original dress could have been very costly. Your fiancé paid them for the original dress and hoped you purchased the new one. I don't blame you for telling your mom first. Congratulations on your upcoming wedding. Not the a-hole. Your stepmom's the a-hole for making it about her. She's mad because you informed your mother about your decision before filling her in. Nothing else. A-holes that put their feelings over the bride or groom can stay at home if they feel that way. A few years ago, my 27 female fiancé, 38 male, left his ex-wife X to pursue a relationship with me. I didn't know when our relationship first started, but when he told me, it felt like it was too late, and we kept going. The cheating ended their marriage, but my fiancé says that their relationship was on the rocks long before then. It is definitely not something I'm proud of, but we've been dating for almost 3 years, and just got engaged a couple of months ago. X seemed to be taking it pretty well, and we've been very friendly for the past year or so. We currently have an every other week custody agreement for their daughter, Jessie, 11 female. Jessie is very close with my daughter, Samantha, 9 female, and I've started letting Samantha sleep over at X's house on weekends, since she misses Jessie so much when it's not our week. I was really starting to view X as just the mother of one of my daughter's friends, and we've been getting along really well. So last Monday, Samantha comes home from a sleepover at Jessie's and tells me that my fiancé and I are bad people. I was surprised, so I asked her why. She told me that Jessie's mom told her how I stole my fiancé from her and Jessie, and that we didn't care about anybody but ourselves. Thankfully, Samantha didn't seem to take it too seriously. She has a tendency to just repeat what people tell her. But I was still furious. I really thought that X had managed to move past this, and that we were fine. I waited a week to give myself some time to cool off, but this weekend, when I took Jessie back to her mom's house, I decided to use the opportunity to discuss boundaries with her. After I'd gotten Jessie inside and Samantha went with her to her room to help her get settled, I told X that her behavior was very inappropriate, and I didn't want her speaking to my daughter about my fiancé or I ever again. X said that she deserved to know, and the conversation went downhill from there. I never expected it to get that heated, but it got pretty loud, and Samantha and Jessie were just upstairs. When X realized they could hear us, she said how dare I yell at her like this in front of her daughter, and made us leave the house. When I told my fiancé about it, he was obviously upset at X for talking to Samantha, but was also upset at me for bringing Jessie into this. I said I was just standing up for my daughter and our relationship. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole for cheating with a married man and then being angry when your daughter found out the truth. Play stupid games, get stupid prizes. You're the a-hole. When you realized that your fiancé was cheating on his wife with you, you should have left the relationship. Instead, you chose to stay. I don't necessarily think the ex was in the right, but your daughter would have found out the truth eventually. Messy relationships lead to messes. You're the a-hole. You are a bad person. And X doesn't have to move past her ex-husbands and your crappy behavior on your timeline. For what you've written, X sounds like a class act. You should apologize to her, profusely. Also, you're way out of line in saying she can never speak to you or your fiancé again, though Lord knows she probably wishes she could. For one thing, she has a joint custody agreement with your fiancé. Genius. My wife's younger sister is what I would call a borderline militant feminist. Not the we want to be treated equally and fairly kind, but the all men are bad and evil and not to be trusted kind. For as long as I've known her, she has taken nearly every opportunity to badmouth any and every man that becomes involved in her life, and even the smallest, most insignificant ways. Due to what I am sure is solely proximity and familiarity, she has told me that I am one of the good ones. Sister-in-law recently purchased her first home, and it's a bit of a fixer-upper. She was tired of paying more in rent every month instead of a mortgage, but due to the crazy housing market in her price range, a house that needs some work is all she would be able to get. And considering how crazy the market has been in our area for the past 2 years, I would consider her lucky to get this one, despite the work it needs. I've worked in construction since I was a teenager, and now work as a foreman for a large construction company. So after sister-in-law bought her house, she invited my wife and I over to show it to us. While we were there, she started asking my opinion on some of the work it needed, and what I would recommend working on first. After looking everything over, it actually wasn't in terrible shape, but definitely needed some renovating and updating. Sister-in-law asked if I would be willing to help with some of the smaller projects, but I told her that I am incredibly busy, and I wouldn't have the time to do it. She got a little pushy, and tried to coax me with money, pizza, and beer, but I stood firm. I told her I could possibly look into some contractors for her. On our way home, my wife told me I could at least help her out with some of the smaller things, since my wife intended on helping her with a few things. I told her that given how much I've heard sister-in-law badmouth men over the years, there's no way I am helping her with anything that could possibly go wrong, and end up with her blaming me. I told her that honestly, I wouldn't even recommend any contractors I worked with, because I wouldn't want them to have a bad experience with sister-in-law that could jeopardize a working relationship I have. The next week, my wife was going over to help sister-in-law with some painting, and I refused to go with. My wife asked if I at least had a list of some contractors for sister-in-law, and I said no. When my wife got home, she told me she was disappointed in me that I wouldn't help and that sister-in-law was upset as well. She told me I was being petty and expecting the worst out of her sister, even though she has never shown any animosity towards me. Well, that changed a couple days later, when sister-in-law started texting me questions about a few things. I told her she'd have to talk to a contractor. She told me she just wanted some advice and that I was being a jerk. She told me she thought I was better than this, and that I was just another typical a-hole. Not the a-hole, but I think he played this the wrong way. The better way, in my opinion, would have been to find some female-owned contractors and send them her way. And to point out that since she thinks all men are a-holes, that she'd probably rather do this stuff herself. She's capable. Let's hear her roar. Not the a-hole. Just because you're a contractor and family does not mean that you're obligated to help. She's a big girl and can either source or complete the work herself. Not the a-hole. She's a hypocrite. All men are evil, until I need something from them, and instead of blaming the individual person, I'm going to blame the whole gender, and then I'm going to tokenize you solely because you have a service I need, and you're my sister's husband. But other than that, all men are evil. Technically, everyone sucks here. It's understandable that you don't want to lose the relationship with contractors, but you could ask around or even do a quick Google search to find some female contractors to refer her to, instead of being so willful. Not showing your sister-in-law that shred of respect will ensure you'll never get any from her. It's like you're using her feelings towards your gender as an excuse to not take any personal responsibility. My girlfriend and I have been dating for a few months, and for a double date, we went with my friend and his girlfriend to go rock climbing. I didn't know the first thing about rock climbing, so he did all the rope work and taught us to belay. It was pretty thrilling, and my girlfriend was a little scared, but enjoying it. He climbed up bringing the rope up, set anchors, and we just top roped. We hiked to another part of this canyon, and he said this was the place him and his girlfriend simul-rappelled. Not sure if that's how you spell it. He said it was amazing but dangerous, and was explaining the rope setup to do it. He joked it was the climber's version of a couple's trust fall. My girlfriend asked if we could do it since there was still some time left, and he said it was dangerous and that it needed to be done with 2 people. My girlfriend looked at me, and I said I was down for anything, and the friend looked uncomfortable, and told her any weight difference over about 50 pounds between the 2 people isn't a good idea, and ideally the weights are as close as possible since we would essentially be balancing each other. He said there were safer techniques. Simul is just faster. My friend and his girlfriend are skinny people, as is basically everyone we've seen climbing that day. I'm a bigger dude at 220-230 pounds, and I don't know my girlfriend's weight, but it's not a bad guess that she's more than 50 pounds heavier than me. My friend is a total adrenaline junkie, and I think if he says it's dangerous, it's best not to do it. My girlfriend looked really unhappy but didn't say anything. She is insecure about her weight. On the drive home, my girlfriend was ranting about what an a-hole my friend was. I got annoyed she was bad-mouthing him because he was nice enough to let us use his gear and show us the ropes. I told her that he is the expert, and she complained he was just eyeballing her weight. And I asked if she would be okay standing on scales with me to confirm we were less than 50-pound difference. She got really mad and said it doesn't matter if there was a 50-pound difference. He was judging her for her weight, and I didn't come to her defense. I was pretty annoyed and told her I wasn't coming for my friend who was only looking out for our safety. She called it fat shaming, and I guess it was to an extent, but he's also not wrong. Not the a-hole. Am I the first person to call out fat shaming? This was not fat shaming at all. Your friend was the person familiar with the equipment and was responsible for pointing out both the logistics and safety of this activity. This is an activity that requires 2 people within 50 pounds of each other. 2 people of your weight weren't present. The fact that she happened to be the heaviest person there caused her to feel shame, but the source of that shame is society, not your friend. Not the a-hole. Your friend wasn't judging your girlfriend's weight. He was making a risk assessment based on what he could see. For him to have allowed you two to proceed would have meant that he was being irresponsible and that he was endangering your lives. Also that she wouldn't feel judged. My wife and mom do not have a good history. They have never gotten along. Recently, we decided it would be a good time for my mom to meet our son. 6 months. The plan was for me to have lunch with my mom, then swing by the house for a brief meeting. My wife admittedly lost track of time, and when we got there was dancing around in her PJs, singing along to some bad pop. My mom had a very strong reaction to it. She began laughing and saying, "No, oh my God, no." My wife was mortified. She turned the music off and went beet red. My mom was actually getting red too, and kept being like, "No, no." I asked her what the duck was going on, and my mom said it was so embarrassing she couldn't take it. She literally ran into our kitchen. She was covering her face and trying to calm down. I was shocked, because my mom has never acted like this. I have no idea what this particular thing set her off. My mom just said it was so embarrassing and cringeworthy. I told her I love that my wife has that side and to ducking stopped. My mom continued to laugh. At this point, my wife was about to cry. To be fair, I do think my mom was trying to stop herself. I saw my wife's face and just lost it. I told my mom to grow the duck up and pointed out that she constantly does gymnastics and crap in her own house and climbs on everything. She said that isn't the same, and what my wife did was just so embarrassing that she almost had a panic attack. I finally lost it. I said nothing is more embarrassing than when she ducked someone at our rehearsal dinner, which she adamantly denies, but I'm 95% sure she did it. I said that was trashy. My wife is just passionate and fun, unlike my mom with this apparent stick up her butt. I told her to get out and not come back. My mom seemed a bit embarrassed. I'd driven her so she had to get an Uber, and I noticed she took off down the street instead of waiting in our driveway. I feel a little bad because she never even got to see the baby. My whole family is calling me an a-hole and saying she was just so secondhand embarrassed that she couldn't help it, and I'm crazy for throwing her out. Everyone has danced around in their PJs to music at some point. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Your mother almost died of embarrassment because your wife was dancing and singing in her PJs. Something that some of us do every single day. I've literally never heard of such a thing. Never. And over 60 years. I'm no stranger to involuntary reactions, but nothing like this. But I do know that it must have been mortifying for your wife. And the way your mother just kept talking and talking. I couldn't take that if someone did that to my husband. You love your wife, and you did what you felt you had to do to protect her. Your mother needs to learn a little something about respect. Not the a-hole. Your wife was dancing around in her PJs, in her own home, and your mother made the decision, embarrassed about it or not, to comment about it out loud, and not only laugh at her, but to continue to laugh when asked to stop. This was a situation that could have been diffused quickly and easily if your mother had only kept her damn mouth shut. But she saw a chance to one-up your wife, and not only took it, but dialed it up to 11, betting that you would support her because of blood, and she lost that bet, big time. Not only that, but she took this incident that was only between the 3 of you and spread it among the rest of the family. It was more important to her to score points among other people than to settle the matter. Not only that, but she found a way to get other people to pick on your wife for her. It's a sign that your mother will take any opportunity to embarrass or pick on your wife that she can, and has absolutely no intention of stopping. Even if you ever let your mother meet your baby, you should never leave him with her alone. It's almost certain she will badmouth your wife to him behind your back.